the benefits of this particular drug?
Helps people really optimize their health. It helps with sugar spikes. It helps with inflammation. There's decreased cardiovascular risk on it. As a byproduct of all the different things the drug does, people lose weight.
When should I start to experiment with medicine? Because I feel like a lot of times people put the medicine first and then they put the lifestyle and the habits later.
I really struggled, and I'm a determined person. And for the first time ever, I really experienced what people experience when they say they have something called food noise, where you're always thinking about food. And so I went on it, and the food noise went away. I was actually doing things that were contributing to my weight gain without me realizing it. And because we do these things so consistently in our day, we don't realize this medication allowed me to be more sensitive to my body and give me real-time feedback what was going on.
Are there potential side effects for a drug like this? Like
dangers of it is really people's expectations of the drug. But if you expect it to do all the work for you, you will not have long-term results.
Should I take Ozempic if I wanted to lose weight?
So I would learn a little bit more about.
If you are struggling to lose weight and you felt like you exhausted literally everything from exercise to nutrition to your lifestyle, you've probably seen this particular drug in your feed, whether it's Ozempic, Wegovy, tirzepatide. It's been a question that's been asked from my clients. And while I did a lot of research into it, I wanted to get someone that has a lot more experience and understanding of this actual drug. Today, I got with me the founder of IV Drips, Hasty Meds. She's been a nurse practitioner for 10 plus years. She's been in business for 8+ years, almost a decade now. She's a good friend of mine. Her name is Bracha. Hopefully I said that right. And she's out in New York. So I'm really excited. This is the first time we're doing kind of a online version. I wanted to connect more with entrepreneurs as well. So Bracha, thank you so much for being with us. I'm excited to dive into this topic because it's so rich right now in terms of people wanting to see and understand this drug.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for agreeing to do the Zoom, the virtual meet. And I'm so excited to spread my knowledge about this medication and how it's changing society and healthcare, because I believe it's just the beginning of the drug's future.
Yeah. So I want to get right into it, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I think it's one of the, I just listed out every question that my clients would give me, and I'm just going to say it from their perspective. And if you can give some value, that'd be great. So, but anyways, the first question I wanted to ask is like, what are the benefits of this particular drug?
Sure. So the medication, just background, there's many different names for the medication. By the way, you did a great job. So we have semaglutide and tirzepatide, and then there's brand names for each of them. So semaglutide is Ozempic or Wegovy, and they have the same active ingredient which is called semaglutide. It's like saying Motrin, Advil, and then ibuprofen is the active ingredient.
Okay.
And then you have tirzepatide, which is known as either Mounjaro or Zepbound. So you either could purchase it from the company itself, and then let's say Eli Lilly sells the brand name Mounjaro or Zepbound, or you can get the actual ingredient from compound pharmacies called tirzepatide or semaglutide. And so what the medication does, a couple different things, and my viewpoint on how the medication works is a little bit more than just to lose weight. People look at it as a weight loss drug and a medication that helps with diabetics. But for me, it's far greater than that. It helps people really optimize their health. It helps with sugar spikes. It helps with inflammation. There's decreased cardiovascular risk on it. And as a byproduct of all the different things the drug does, people lose weight. And so I look at it as the byproduct of the medication allows someone to lose weight. But actually what it's really doing is making you a healthier version of yourself by decreasing inflammation, decreasing sugar, decreasing the risk of having any sort of cardiovascular disease. The medication is really helping people optimize their health, live longer, And then as a byproduct will help you lose weight based on all the different things that it helps and the lifestyle changes people make on it. And then you see weight loss. So it's marketed as the end result, weight loss, but really what's happening in your body is miracles, really miracles.
Yeah. Because prior to that, I did some research. It was initially for type 2 diabetes or type 1 or both diabetes?
Type 2. So it was for type 2. And it still is, yeah.
Yeah. And then they started to see, they're like, oh man, there's a 10% decrease in their weight, 20% decrease in their weight. And it's just been, I looked and this drug has been in the market for years. And I feel like just recently it's started to increase in popularity.
Correct.
Where do you think that's coming from? Is it?
So it's been for diabetics for many years. There have been few individuals who caught on early that have been on it for weight loss for many years because they're like, oh, this is a great side effect. But diabetics have been using it for over 8 years. I have a couple of family members who have been on it, who are type 2 diabetic, who have been using it. And so once everyone, once the brands learned that, oh, it also helps weight loss and we get FDA approval, what happened was that we got FDA approval for it, that the companies were able to market it. So for example, Novo Nordisk, which is in Denmark, owns Ozempic and Wegovy. They own the brand. That company is worth more than Denmark, the entire Denmark itself. That's how profitable it is, but not just to say, okay, it's profitable. It means so many people are using it because it's working. I mean, Bloomberg put out an article this past year saying the CEO of Walmart said for the first time ever, they're seeing a decrease in their food department with like junk foods. And they contributed to these medications. So just learning how it's not only changing healthcare, it's changing economy. I think that this is a big deal when you have such a big food chain store saying we're seeing a decrease in sales in our food,
Yeah. So I want to ask this because I think some of the best practitioners practice, and if you're kindly enough to share, because you use the drug for an X amount of time and you've lost how many pounds again?
So I lost 15 pounds. Yes.
Can you kind of give like what did it feel like? What were some of the changes that you noticed physically, even emotionally or mentally, and if there was any effects like that?
Sure. So my story goes like this. I never struggled with my weight actually until COVID hit, and my habits changed. And it happens so slowly when your habits change and those pounds creep on you really slowly. And so I gained about 15 pounds and I just didn't feel my best self with those extra 15 pounds. My weight change at this point, my clothing, my whole closet didn't fit me because 15 pounds is like probably two sizes up. And I was like, I am not buying new clothing. And I was like, all right, I got to hit the gym more, got to just cut back. I really struggled, and I'm a determined person. I really struggled. And for the first time ever, I really experienced what people experience when they say they have something called food noise, where you're always thinking about food. I was thinking if I should eat before I went to bed. And when I woke up, what should I eat today? Let me try not to eat so much. Let me try to do this. Let me try to do this. I was always thinking about food, and I never did that before. But I just got something called food noise for the first time in my life, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was working out. I felt like I was eating healthy, but I was always hungry. What are you going to do? Like I was hungry, and I just wasn't losing the weight. I had a personal trainer. I was doing the things that, I made sense to me, and that I thought I was living a very healthy lifestyle. And I just wasn't losing the weight, and it was really frustrating. And so I learned about Ozempic and semaglutide. And, a lot of patients were asking me about it at that point. And I was like, nah, like I didn't really buy into it. I was like, just try to like do more exercise, eat less, be more healthy. Like I didn't fully get it. And it's because I've never really struggled with it. And then once I struggled with it myself, I was able to really put myself in their shoes. And I said, let me try this because I'm struggling to lose these 15 pounds. And it's not about self-control, and it's not about that I'm not motivated and I don't have willpower. There's just something changed in my body that I'm just a different person today. And so I went on it, and I mean, the food noise went away. But what
Interesting.
happened
Yeah.
was I all of a sudden got real-time feedback about what I was eating. And it made me have a shift in my mind where I realized I was actually doing things that were contributing to my weight gain without me realizing it. And because we do these things so consistently in our day, we don't realize. And this medication allowed me to be more sensitive to my body and give me real-time feedback what was going on. So for example, I remember being out with my friend, and we went out for some drinks, and I ordered a drink, and the waiter came by. She's like, "Do you want something else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get another cocktail." And at that moment, I felt like a little nauseous, and I didn't feel so well. And I was like, "Wait 1 second." And I realized like this medication was telling me, I don't want another cocktail. I didn't even want the first one. I don't feel good. What was happening inside my body was that my sugar was spiking up. So what this medication does is anytime your sugar spikes up, it's going to tell you, I don't like when your sugar spikes up. And that's the truth. Our body doesn't like it when our sugar spikes up. And so I completely cut off alcohol out of my life. Not to say that here and there I don't have it, but it's not something that I'm doing on a weekly basis. It'll happen from time to time. But when I go with my friends, yes, it's social, but I'm like, I just don't like drinking. And it helped me lose weight. It helped me sleep better. And so I made many different decisions in my life because of that. And the only reason I was able to make that change was one, because the semaglutide gave me real-time feedback about how my body was feeling. And I understood like the sugar spikes that, it spoke to me. And it's not just with alcohol, it's also with just any like sugary sweet foods. I lost the craving for it. If I did have it, I felt so nauseous after, it wasn't worth it to me. So what happens is after time, like months of doing this, right? I was on it for about a little bit over 3 months. You eventually change your habits. If you have a bag of potato chips, it's so hard to say no to the next one. But once you cut it out of your life, it's much easier to be like, I don't desire it anymore. Because the more sugar we have, the more we desire it. The less sugar we have, like the less cravings we have. That's the truth about sugar. And so it gives you real-time feedback. It's like, listen to your body. And when people say, I'm so nauseous on it, I'm throwing up, two different things. One, either your dose isn't correct, or two, are you listening to your body? Like what happened before you felt nauseous? Like were you eating something that really spiked your sugar? And then you have to make that decision. Do you want a healthier life? It's not about losing weight. It's so much greater than that. It's, do you want to live a healthier life? And every time your sugar spikes up that high, it increases inflammation in your body, and it's not good for you. So what is the life that you want? And this medication allows you to make that switch. Oh, okay. It's talking to me real time feedback. You want to change your behavior? Real time feedback is really the way to do it, right? Like not 10 years later, like, by the way, I shouldn't have done that 10 years ago. You're not going to change. This is allowing us to change literally within 30 minutes.
That's fascinating. So there's a couple of things I wanted to unpack on that. So one, like how long were you on the drug for? Are you still on it now, or?
So I was on it for about 3 months, a little bit more than 3 months.
Okay.
And then I lost the weight that I wanted to lose. I didn't want to lose any more weight. I also had a very good titration process how I went off of it. I didn't stop at cold turkey, and that's kind of what we do now at Ivy Drips. We help people titrate off. It's like the medication does a lot of the work in the beginning, and then slowly, we have the patients really formulate new habits, and they're doing the work of the medications, like helping in the background, and slowly they go off of it. And so I've been off of it for like over a year, and I haven't gained the weight back. Once you're able to formulate new habits, it's just easier to keep. And if you kind of like go off balance for a bit, which I did, I was traveling in Spain for a month. a couple of months ago, and I wanted to try new foods. It was like different lifestyle. And I didn't gain per se any weight, but I changed my habits. So I knew that that's like, it was happening, in the future. So when I came back home, I did, 2 more weeks of injections just to get back into
Yeah.
myself. And now I'm good. It's just kind of like my mindset is just, this is my mindset. This is how I live my life. It's normal, healthy to me. And I feel so much better. I feel more energized. I've picked up new skills on my health habits, and I feel better. I was feeling like 15 pounds to me was making me feel more tired, making me feel heavier, and making me feel sluggish. I feel my best version of myself now. So yeah.
Wow. So 10 years ago when I was a trainer, I'm still a trainer now, but I was much younger then. And I think there's a lot to do with your age and who you attract when you're training at that time. I think a majority of my clients were 25 to 35. And now that I'm 36, I'm starting to attract a much older clientele. Now, if you asked me in the past, in terms of what I thought about medicine, I would be so anti against a lot of it. But as I started to gain more clients and I'm changing their nutrition, I'm changing their exercise, and right away I'm like, okay, they should be making progress. And I found that some of them didn't, which was alarming to me because I was like, wait, their nutrition's on point, their exercise is on point, because I get to see that. What else is going on in here? And you've kind of had this approach where you exhausted everything that you had. You had a trainer, you're changing your lifestyle. At some point, I started to kind of notice things that made them a little bit different. What I mean by that is they just seemed like I call them high productive members of society. And typically those athletes that I typically get are extremely stressed. They have a lot of deadlines, capacities they have to accomplish. How much did stress play a role in some of your changes?
Okay, great question. I think what happened was because I was working crazy hours during COVID due to, the business that I operate, wasn't sleeping as much. And so because I wasn't sleeping as much, there's a hormone called ghrelin, and my ghrelin increased. It happens when we don't sleep, stress, and I was more hungry. And I also had less of an ability to say no to carbs. So I think stress does play a huge role in, how we operate our life and what we choose to eat, our impulse behaviors. Sometimes we're not being as mindful about what we're eating. It could be that they're not realizing what they're eating. I do have a lot of clients that say, I'm not really eating anything. I don't know why I'm gaining weight. But when I do glucose tracking on them, I see a very different story. And then sometimes it's just age-related things. I mean, women who are in their menopausal, perimenopausal years will gain 8 to 10 pounds without having any lifestyle modifications. They just put on weight. So there's just hormones that play a factor. There's stress, there's cortisol levels, there's just age-related factors. And sometimes people are doing everything right, but are just still gaining weight. So that's probably like with your clients, they experience that. And it's frustrating because they compare themselves to other people, my friend, my sister, my brother, this client, and they don't understand, what's happening to them and why are other people getting results and they're not.
Yeah. It's frustrating for the trainer too, because you're like, all my clients are changing except this one person.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is once we start to implement medicine that has a lot of research behind it, they change.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess it segments me to like, when should I start to experiment with medicine? Because I feel like a lot of times people put the medicine first and then they put the lifestyle and the habits later. Right? What are your thoughts behind that?
Yeah. So that's
that paradigm, that framework.
Yeah, that's a very good point. One of my biggest things with semaglutide, the dangers of it is really people's expectations of the drug. Now, I'm a big fan of the drug, but they put it on the pedestal a little bit too much and they expect it to do all the work. And it doesn't work like that. So it's lifestyle modifications, which is really, really hard to do. So you could use a drug to help you get there. But if you expect it to do all the work for you, you will not have long-term results, which means I go on the medication, I completely change like my food noise. People they go up way too quickly. They have no food noise. They have no desire to eat. And yes, so 2 months later, you're going to see a significant amount of weight drop with these people. And then finally, they go off the medication, or one day when they're on max dose for a while, for over a year, it doesn't work anymore the same way. And they go off the medication, and they're, first of all, for the first time ever, they're feeling hungry. If imagine you don't feel hungry for 2 years or for a whole year or for 3 months. Imagine you never feel hunger. And then all of a sudden it comes back and you're like starving and you just don't know like how to manage those feelings. And you see those people gain weight and gain sometimes even more weight because they didn't implement, like, they're not doing exercise, they're not working out, they're not being mindful about what they eat. They're just relying on the drug to do all the work. Or trying to lose weight way too fast. It's not realistic. It's not realistic to not eat. That's not what this medication is meant to do. It's not realistic. It's abusing the drug. That's my opinion on it. And you won't see good success with those people. And I feel like that's where it gets a really bad rap. And that's where I always say, like, the medication's there to help you become a winner. The medication's there to help you win. It's giving you training wheels to say, like, oh, okay, I want to say no to the cake, and now I finally can say no to it. But I always wanted to do that, and I'm becoming more mindful about what I'm eating, and I'm going to the gym, and I'm seeing results. Finally, I'm going to the gym, and I'm seeing results. And once you start seeing those things, once you start winning in life, once you just start winning with something, and you build your confidence, it's easier to keep on winning. It's easier to keep on being confident. And I think the frustration that people have when they're trying to lose weight is like they do the work and they don't see results. So it's very hard to continue doing it. Yeah. This allows you to see the results with the work. And so, the studies showed that there was a study that was showing about people on Mounjaro, whether they did a group of people who worked out and people who did not work out. They were on the same doses of Mounjaro. And the study showed that they both lost the same amount of weight. It didn't matter if you worked out or not. But when they went off of it, the people who worked out kept the weight off. The people who didn't gained the weight. And so it's a very cool study to understand that the value of habits and lifestyle.
Wow. Okay. So Mounjaro is it's another type.
Yeah, so trizepatide. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Owned by Eli Lilly.
So, yeah. So what are some of I'd like to go on kind of the other side of this. Are there potential side effects for a drug like this? Like, what are some of the things that can happen?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is mindset, expectation, expecting to lose weight too quickly. I hear this way too often. All my friends are losing weight and I'm not. I'm already taking the medication for 3 weeks and I didn't lose anything. Mind you, these people have been trying to lose weight for 3 years. And so the expectation of the drug is insane. It's just a little bit too much. People have to realize it takes time. And then if you go up too quickly, which we do have patients who are like, it's not working, I want to go higher. It's not working on their 3rd week and they're so frustrated. The problem is when people go up too quickly or dose themselves, then there's a chance of, and it can happen to 1% of patients, it is a medical emergency and it's very dangerous, which is why people should not take these medications without providers, is that your GI tract, which is like your stomach, your gut, your intestines, it slows down too much. That's what the medication does. It slows down the GI tract, which is why it helps with sugar spikes. So it slows it down too much and it can cause like things like constipation, which can cause also like a stop in the GI tract moving. And it can have a bowel obstruction, which is a medical emergency. And it does happen to people. And it's something to be mindful of. And that's kind of why you need to be in touch with the practitioner. One of the biggest warning signs for this is constipation. So if you're on it and you're constipated, you really need to call your provider like ASAP. People have to understand that they have to hydrate on this drug. You have to drink more water. And so different protocols that need to be done while you're taking this medication. And if you're not being coached on it, you are at higher risk for all of these things. That is like the biggest side effect of this medication. There's controversial studies about, does it cause, people who have a history of thyroid cancer, things like that. But we stay away with a certain type of thyroid cancer. If you have a family history of thyroid cancer, we stay away from it. We don't give it to you. So those are and also pancreatitis. So if you have a history of pancreatitis, we don't give it to you. So those are the different things that we worry about. And then there's a small percentage of people that just the drug just doesn't work for them. And I don't have an answer for that. I don't think we know why it doesn't work for them, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So you kind of gave us kind of some of the successful, so the ones that you said were successful, implement some type of work behind the medicine. And then the ones that aren't are just relying on the medicine without the work.
Yeah.
Is that for the most part?
I think of the people who go through our program where, we explained some in the beginning, like nothing in life is linear, anything, even when you're just healing, building a business, going through life, it's never linear, meaning it's never just up, 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 up. And so when someone's trying to lose weight, I always tell them in the beginning, like, it's not that everything you're going to take this injection, everything is a success. But if they're patients and they're doing the work, I mean, we've had great stories. People have come back and said they changed their lives. I've helped people with binge eating that are likely never going to go off this medication because they are like, this is like the most amazing thing. Like no medication has helped them with their binge eating as much because it pauses like delayed gratification. There are people who I just had a patient that I was talking to who's in her 70s who her doctor refused to give this to her because he said to her, like, you're not obese enough. And she struggled with weight her whole life. And she took matters in her own hands and she lost 25 pounds on it. She's like, I feel confident. I feel better. There are a lot of mothers who gain weight after pregnancy that are struggling to lose the weight that have gone on it. And I mean, it's not only that we've helped people lose weight, but we've helped people gain their confidence back. They feel better in pictures. They feel better like going out in public. It allowed them to be more social. So it gave them their whole, it gave them their life back because weight affects many different things. They're able to go on hikes without their knees hurting, decrease inflammation. Some patients have been able to go up their diabetic medications because of this drug. We've helped people, be able to decrease their hypertension, go off their hypertension medications. I mean, that's life changing. It's the clothing you wear, but it's also the amount of things that get affected when you drop your weight, when you drop pounds. It helps you in so many different ways. It's not just about, looking good. It's about feeling more confident, decrease inflammation, going off a lot of other medications because this drug is actually solving the issue. And it's not just a Band-Aid. I've seen amazing success. I've changed people's lives because of this medication.
Listen, if you're trying to lose weight, but you're just frustrated because you just can't seem to see any results, we would love to help you out. Now, we've been helping thousands of our athletes over the course of a decade by crafting personalized programs that are not only sustainable, but also effective. Now, if you're ready to transform your health, click on the show notes below, book a call with one of our coaches. We'd love to help you out. Now back to the show. Peace.
Yeah. So something that we teach with our clients, like there's 4 triggers that really create massive, I want to say bad decisions, and one of them, the acronym's HALT. So the 4 big triggers are hunger, anxiousness, loneliness, and tiredness. And it's solving for that hunger component, which is powerful. A lot of times when the clients that I do get that are not successful, they put in the work and they're not seeing results, it breaks their heart. But if you want to formulate a habit, there has to be some type of reward mechanism with the discomfort that you put in.
Yeah.
So what we start to see when we start to implement medications, not just like Ozempic, like testosterone, some of the more hormonal therapy stuff, they're actually now enjoy the work because now they're seeing progress. And there's ways to, if the number is what they want to see, great. Like I can't change what you want to see. So I try to just get as many numbers as I possibly can. But sometimes them just seeing it go down a pound is enough for them to continue going.
Yeah.
right? And I think that's like the benefit of a lot of these medicines. Like, let's put in the work, and then even just that small number, they're like, okay, oh, I'm gonna go do it again. I'm gonna go do it again. And then I agree. Like, I think just kind of just weaning off of it over time and still continuing the discomfort and then doing the work, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. No, I
So
agree 100%. That is really, it's human behavior. It's really hard for us to do something for a very long time and not see results. There's very few people in the world that are able to do it. And we need to see results a little bit to keep on going. And so it's frustrating for the people who don't, for both ends, for the people who are working with them and for, the patients and the clients.
yeah. Okay, so I want to go into kind of how you the business side of this, because prior to this, and a lot of my work, a lot of the frameworks and the services that we do come from a lot of frustration. It wasn't Ozempic first for you. You had other products that you used to sell, and you're like, so run me through what Hasty Meds does and what problem it solves, because it's more than just one item you're really providing for people.
Yeah, sure. So just the background, I started my company 8 years ago, IV drips, when I was nurse practitioner in an emergency room, and I saw how long people wait for hydration, IV hydration, hours on end. And I thought there's got to be a faster way to get this done. This, can't be the solution that someone can wait 5-6 hours in an ER to get hydrated. And I thought of a faster way. And so I started a company called IV Drips, where we send nurses to patients' homes for infusions, on-demand services. And then COVID hit, and the demand was far greater than just infusions. It was, anything related to COVID, anything related to taking care of patients at home and doing like full concierge medicine, from full blood work, COVID swabs, monoclonal infusions, and just nursing care. Sending a nurse to go check on their parents, So we do full medical concierge services with nurses, concierge nurses services. And then I started doing the weight loss once I, myself struggled with something. And then another thing, I guess this past year, I've noticed where I constantly getting calls, from friends and family saying, do you mind just calling in a script for me? Like, my husband's not feeling well, or I just have this, like, do you mind? Like, to me, like they're looking at it as like, to me, it's not such a big deal. All I have to do is like write a prescription. Right. But that's kind of like, that's my work. That's what I do. And I have to evaluate you and make sure I'm doing the right medication. And it's also a liability. But what I realized was that people weren't having easy access to prescriptions, right? They were asking me a favor because if I wanted to get a prescription, I had to take off of work and go to the doctor. So Bracha, can you just write it for me so I don't have to go to the doctor during my lunch break or wait 3 days to get this antibiotic because I have a sinus infection today? Or I don't want to go to the urgent care center and have a copay of XYZ, $75. And so people don't have easy access to prescriptions. That's the truth.
Right.
Sometimes you have to wait a couple of days. And unless you are more of a wealthier individual who has the ability to pay for a concierge doctor to be available to you at all times, an average American individual has to wait 3 days. That's the truth.
Yeah.
If you need a refill on your medication for like retinol, tretinoin creams that people take on a monthly basis, spirulactone for their acne, birth control medications, people take these medications for years. They're migraine medications. They have to go to the doctor to get a script because that's just the way it works. And a doctor is usually not going to write that script for you again and again without you having to come visit him, because he doesn't have any benefit to do that. Why should he do that? Right?
Yeah.
Imagine he just did that. He wouldn't have a business. And so people suffer, and it's a big friction point in healthcare. On-demand prescriptions is the solution, where you can get medications on demand without having to go to your provider, without leaving your house, without having to worry about insurance. I made something that's completely accessible to any average person. Our baseline point is $39 a month. It's cancel anytime. You don't use it, it rolls over. I mean, it's almost like just for security reasons. I know that I'm traveling on Sunday and I need to make sure that I believe people shouldn't leave the country ever without medications for like basic antibiotics and nausea medication. when you're traveling out of the country, imagine having to fly to Paris and then you're feeling super nauseous for whatever reason and having to go find the medication itself. So access to medications needs to be a frictionless process. And that's what Hasty Meds solves. It's the solution to people getting on-demand prescriptions and medications. For example, we had an example yesterday. A woman she was traveling to Kenya, and she had to start taking medications for anti-malaria, and it was like, I guess she didn't plan in advance, and she didn't have access to that meds, and she was leaving the next day with work, and so we helped her get that. So I mean, it's a real solution to the friction that people have to get medications. Yeah.
I feel like the turnaround time, you'd be saving a lot of time. I think I was in, like, this is a side note, I was in a dentist for like 3 hours. I was like, why am I here for 3 hours? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Right. I just need this. And then there's another, I don't know if you have the answer for this, but my son had to go to the ER at one point. He's fine, but we had to take him to the ER, and our bill was something a normal person couldn't pay. Like, it was so big, and we're looking at the line, and I'm like, an IV costs that much, right? It's like, it freaks me out on how it was like 1,400, 1,600, something crazy. Are you able to, like, why is it so much higher in a hospital comparatively if you just go into like a random place to get an IV?
Yeah, because I mean, it's just the way the health system is set up. I mean, the way it works is like you charge an enormous amount, you bill the insurance company, and then the insurance company pays you a fraction of that. So they're going to pay you a fraction of what you're billing for. So all hospitals, all physicians always charge double that amount, or triple, or way more. And then if you don't have insurance, you sometimes get stuck with like a really big bill. But it happens to be sometimes actually paying out of pocket for medicine or for prescriptions or for services like healthcare services. I think is a really good bang for your buck. Obviously, there's times where people have to go to the emergency room and there's no solution around that. But for other treatments, honestly, like paying out of pocket it's at the end of the day, insurance is the one that are there. The system is super confusing and difficult because you pay so much for healthcare. But really, if you actually just paid out of pocket for these things, it's probably more affordable. But the problem is like the hospitals bring up the prices so high that it makes an average individual like so afraid, and in case that scenario happens. So I think that it's a complicated situation. You need insurance. Especially for emergencies, but for non-emergencies, if they was able to separate it, then people actually wouldn't have to pay so much out of pocket, because going to the doc, like again, you could just see a provider with Hasty Meds for $39 and they can give you a medication for your sinus infection. But if you went to the doctor and they bill you for that visit, it's like $300-400. But because they need to bill it that high, so insurance can pay them $120.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of reform, right? And I understand you're running a business, I'm running a business, and I'm like, just the way it's just set up it's very interesting. Good people in a system that needs some love.
Yeah.
Right. So insurances or doctors probably like, are you disrupting that company a little bit, or
I think with physicians, some physicians probably will appreciate it and some physicians won't, because they do want patients to come back in to get their for, let's say, dermatologists. I think a lot of dermatologists will not like me because they want patients to come in every month or every 3 months for their creams. But I mean, the healthcare system is changing and people don't need to come in anymore to get those scripts. Like, they should be able to just get it online at this point. So I think that so probably some physicians will like it because they're getting calls on Sundays that they don't want to answer. And so now they say, just call Hasty Med, sign up. Don't bother me on Sunday anymore. Like, just get the script because we're not available. Like, these are our hours, 9 to 5. Again, and then there are some people who have concierge physicians who are available to them at all times. But an average person doesn't have, that extra. Some of them are $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and so that's a bill.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I want to go back to the health side because you're running two businesses. You have a handful of employees. You lost the 15 pounds. You've been improving your lifestyle across the board. How important is health as you're running your businesses?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, if someone doesn't take care of their health, then it's only so far that you can go. Eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Mhm.
If I don't work out,
Mhm.
I don't feel as good. If
Mhm.
I don't eat well, I'm more tired. My mind isn't as sharp. If I don't sleep as well, my mind isn't as sharp. And so if I want to be the best version of myself every single day, which I do,
Yeah,
I have to take care of
right.
myself and I want to be the best version. And so, I was out with a friend the other day and it was like, oh, you don't drink alcohol anymore. I'm like, it doesn't benefit me. Like, it doesn't benefit me. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to sleep well tonight because I'm not going to go into deep REM and I won't optimize my health. And so I'm not going to do it. It doesn't make me a better version of myself. Every day I want to be a better version of myself and do better every day and feel healthier and feel good. I want to be able to be productive. I want my mind to work. And so all the different things that we do in our lives are little steps to help us get there. It's these little steps, whether it's
Yeah.
sleeping, working out is a big deal. Like like it's so not about weight loss. It's so not about that.
It's not, yeah,
It's just
way
like
beyond
one
that.
factor of it. And so,
Mhm.
and if people don't want to like lift weights and be in the gym, find something else. Find something else that you enjoy. There's a lot of activities like social, like Soul Cycle, Pilates, tennis, like something together with a friend that can motivate you, that you can learn to love. At the end of the day, once you learn to move your body, you really will crave it. You really crave it, right?
Yeah,
Like imagine you had to like sit for 1 week and you couldn't work out for 1 to 2 weeks. Like you'll go,
I'm gonna freak out.
your body needs it. And then once you know what, like once you have it, then you'll know what you're missing. And so I think that just having a healthier lifestyle and just people should want to be the best version of themselves. I was one time talking to a patient. He was he was about 50, and he said, when I turned 50, all these things started happening. I started getting hypertension, blood pressure issues, this, that, diabetes, and I'm like, no, 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 no. It's nothing to do with the age that you're 50. It has to do with how did you treat your body from 30 to 50, and so it's every single day trying the best to be the best version of yourself, and so you can get to your goals. And it starts with the little things that we do every single day.
I agree. Yeah, I always tell people it's like your age didn't result, you're the outcome of your health, it's your habits.
Yeah.
And once they really understand that and grasp that, they start taking ownership on what they do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask this question because I do have a lot of females that go out socially, and some of them have made these massive health transitions. And then they're just like, I was like, girlfriend, I ain't drinking today. Like, how does that interaction with a friend that typically is the social one, they're like it probably feels like, oh gosh, I'm the only one not drinking. Like, do you lose friends because of it? Does your friends change? Like, what's that communication like when you've made some of these health changes?
Yeah. I think in the beginning it was hard for me. I wanted, especially when I have like multiple friends around, and sometimes I'm a networker. I'm always introducing people to other people.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone to feel comfortable, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to say no, that I'm not going to drink, even though I don't want to drink because I want everyone to feel comfortable. But I got to a point in my life where I want to make sure that I feel comfortable before,
Yeah.
And so I think at this point, all my friends know, like, I just don't drink. I don't see the benefit to it. And,
Yeah.
I don't need it to feel happy.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of the day, like there's more negative side effects to it than positive side effects.
Yeah.
I think I just tell you, you just learn to be comfortable in your own skin, do what's good for you, and say like, I just don't see the benefits to drinking anymore. And I do
Yeah.
well without it. I'll get some seltzer and like lemon. I like that. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, more hydration, and there's other things to get. And I mean, those cocktails that you guys get, I mean, the amount of sugar in it is insane. So even if
Yeah.
you just like start with having alcohol that's a little bit has less sugar in it, but it's just what does it do to your body? I think it just eventually, if you're comfortable with making those choices, then I think people around you will just respect those choices. That you just want to be a
Yeah.
healthier version of you. I mean, that's
Right.
a lot of respect to those people, and I think maybe in the beginning it's like a hard pivot, but once you do it, you'll just be more comfortable with it. Yeah.
For sure. I can relate. That first initial stage was I felt uncomfortable because they're gonna think I'm weird, or they're gonna think that I'm an alcoholic of some
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you must be recovering, right?"
Yeah.
And at some point, I started to feel comfortable. I was like, "No, dude, I'll just get seltzer and water." And what's ironic is they look at you and then they're like, "I'll do the same thing," right?
Yeah.
And you start to slowly, at least for me, I've slowly changed some of my circles. When I am in a party or at a dinner, it's very interesting how once you feel comfortable in your own skin, they start to question themselves. And then they're like, I think I'll do the same because they feel your aura, they feel your energy. And then you're like, cool, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I felt like that kind of was my journey. But
Yeah.
all right, so I wanna ask this question because this is like the big topic. Should I take Ozempic if I wanted to lose weight? How would you answer that?
Okay. So I would learn a little bit more about, the individual. I would tell me about your journey. Tell me about your weight loss journey. Because the answer is different for everybody. If you just want to take it for weight loss, if you want to take it for other reasons, then that's a different story. Like just want to keep your sugars down. And so I would learn a little bit about someone's journey and what sort of expectations or what are their goals. For people who struggled with weight their entire life and are on the journey of I want to get better, I want to change, I just need help. Those are usually patients
Yeah.
who will benefit. Whether people are like, I just want the medication to do all the work for me, I usually say like maybe just find a different program. I'm not the right program for you. I want to lose weight really, really quickly. I need to be ready for my daughter's wedding in a month from now. I need to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, okay, not here, not
Yeah.
here. And so if you want to optimize your health, if you want to feel better, not only look better, it's a medication that could help you get there, whether it's long term or short term. The medication does a lot more than help you lose weight. Like people could be on it just to keep their sugar spikes low. If you want to decrease your sugar spikes, you're on the way to increasing your longevity. So our sixth vital sign is our sugar. I think there'll be more and more conversations around sugar. What's our sugar? Now you have people monitoring their glucose levels, which I recommend to everybody to do this, to monitor your sugar for 1 month, lifetime, to understand really what's going inside your body and how foods affect your sugar. And if you have that knowledge is power. And so once you understand how sugar affects your life, and you're able to decrease your sugar spikes, if you're able to do it naturally without a medication, great. But a lot of times it takes work to get there. And so when people are able to have low glycemic diets, not just because I want to be skinny, because I want to live longer. When I'm 75, I still want to be able to go on hikes. I want to slow down my aging process. I want to slow down my biological age. And so going on a medication like this, I think will be helpful to someone. I don't think the only benefit it has is for weight loss. I think people can microdose on it for low sugar spikes, like what it does for people who are diabetic. I think the future of this medication is a longevity drug. I think people will take this medication in microdosing to help decrease their sugar. What a lot of people do right now with metformin, a lot of people who follow Dr. David Sinclair, who's really, really big on anti-aging. People who follow him do take something like metformin, which is a medication for diabetics to lower their sugar spikes. So I think this will transfer over to like medications like semaglutide. Maybe it's going to have a different name, but it's going to be a GLP-1 that people will microdose on. And the other vision I have for this drug is it will help with addiction because it delays instant gratification and it changes your receptors for smoking and drinking. And so maybe they'll alter the drug a little bit more, but I think people will take it for that reason, because if I'm able to pause my impulse reaction to do something that I understand now it's not going to make me feel better. Actually, if I'm able to separate those two before I act on it, it's going to help people give them more control over an addictive behavior. So, because that impulse eating, binge eating, sugar craving, it's all related. It's all that impulse. And so I think this medication will be used. It's not just about weight loss. It will help people decrease their binge habits. It will decrease their, alcohol drinking, smoking, and it will help people with longevity. So I think this medication, it's literally the beginning of this drug. This medication will come out with different names. I don't know who's going to own it, but Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk, they're going to come up with different drugs that are going to help with these things because we're already seeing it on a small level. Once we get FDA approval on it, it's going to skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think.
What are some lifestyle habits you think if they're considering this, like what are some low-hanging lifestyle habits they should start to pursue and collect so they can be successful?
For people who want to go on it.
Yeah.
I think understanding your sugar is the first thing I would tell people. When people are not so in touch with really what's going on in their body, or they maybe are trying everything, but we're not seeing results, those people, I would say, before anything, why don't we look at your sugar? Because I have patients who are not diabetic today, but when I monitor their sugar, so I put them on something called Levels or Dexcom, big fan of these glucose monitors. It goes into your arm.
Yeah, it goes into your arm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it stays for
very cool.
10 days. You've done it, right?
I've just seen it everywhere. Yeah.
It's
very interesting.
You got to do it. It will change your life.
Yeah.
It will change your life. So we put patients on it and we monitor them for a month. And then we learn. And it's very easy to see people who are actually going to become diabetic in the next 5 years. I could tell when someone's going to become diabetic, even if their hemoglobin A1C, which is the diabetic marker, isn't at 6.4. But I see when they eat foods I see their glucose resistance live time. Glucose resistance is like the biggest marker for what we're going to see people who are going to become diabetics, because what happens is that they become glucose resistant. And so I see that live time happening when they eat foods. Their sugar goes up so high, more than an average individual. And I see that happening. And I'm like, okay, you're headed towards becoming diabetic. When you're able to predict that in someone's future, then you're like, okay, like, let me learn a little bit more about what I'm actually eating. Why is my sugar going so high? Why is my body what happens is, why is my body so tired of all of this food coming in and trying to bring the sugar down? I mean, your body gets tired from doing that. It does it naturally for many years, but it gets tired. And that's when you see the glucose resistance. And then years later, you see people who are diabetic. So my big thing is like, one, learn about your body, full blood work, get full blood work assessment, what's going on with your body, everything you're eating, things like that, because blood doesn't lie. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you the truth. And we'll learn about different things. We'll also learn about if there's a hormone imbalance going on in someone's body. So, and then I would say lifetime glucose, be with a program who could help you analyze all of that, or someone who's very knowledgeable in it. And then once you learn that, then you could say, okay, let's change these habits. But it first starts with being more aware, if you're more aware of like what's going on. As a medical practitioner, I was drinking alcohol and I was like shocked when I saw how high the sugar or pasta or alcohol, like how high my sugar went. And I was like, whoa, it hit me. And I was like, it's not about, I want to be able to eat everything. I don't want to be restricted. It's about, I don't want to put something that's not good for me and my body. I don't want to do that. And so first step, learn about your body and become aware. And then we can learn what to do to change it. I think that's like the first step for any sort of change in life. Like we become more aware about what's going on.
Yeah. I love this because I think a lot of fear is created from uncertainty and it's just really dark for people. They don't know what's going on. And analytics and numbers really start to shed light into this darkness And that's just the awareness component. And I tell people that all the time. We might not be analyzing their glucose levels, but we look at their steps.
Yeah.
They're like, oh crap, I only doing 1,000 steps. I was like, dude, that's
It's
a normal person's 1,000 or 10,000 steps, right?
amazing.
8,000.
Yeah.
And they start to take ownership instead of me telling them what to do. They're like, okay, I need to at least let's tackle some of these things down because it's clear. And I'm unjudgmental in a lot of the numbers. I was like, hey, we just noticed you're not taking any steps. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree. And I love that. And I think some of the best practitioners, they're like, let's bring awareness first.
Yeah.
Let's go see where we are. Let's look at everything. Because at the end of the day, if you don't need this, I'm going to say you don't need it. And I think that's what separates great practitioners and practitioners that are just doing it for short-term money, right? So I love that. So bring awareness. Is there other habits that you would want them to be like, okay, these are some other things?
I love this. I love the step thing that you just mentioned. Steps. If you look at your phone and your heart health app says that you're taking any 3,000 steps a day, that's really, really not good. Like you need to be cautious. Like you need to move. When you move, it brings down your sugar. I always go back to the sugar, but moving, you need to move. You need to be out in sunlight. You need to move. You need to move your body. You need to expose it to sunlight. You need to get those steps in. Physical activity. I mean, I think that when I show people okay, show me your screenshot me your week steps, and it's 1,000 steps a day. I'm like, oh, this has to change. This has to change now. This is far more important than understanding okay, I'm going on this medication or not. If you are taking 1,000 steps, anywhere under 5,000 steps a day, it's really not a good sign. It's not good for your health,
Yeah. This is the dual edge of technology. We can Zoom everything. We can work remote. We don't even have to go into the grocery store to get our food. Our steps get less and less as our technology grows, right? But then shedding that awareness and then showing them what the statistics were is very empowering for them. And to be honest, I have some clients that just walk 10,000 steps with moderate change in nutrition. They have significant weight loss. And they're just like, what is happening? It's supposed to be this easy. And I think a lot of times people get discouraged and they rebound because they don't do some of those simple things like monitoring their glucose, monitoring their steps, and they go right into the extreme. And while the extreme works, and I like the extreme, I think people think that maybe our workouts can look extreme, but extreme doesn't necessarily have to be their path. And it takes awareness to do that. And it just takes to look at some of those simple things.
Yeah.
I love it.
So steps is a good one. Steps is a really good one. I think everyone should be taking a good amount of steps a day. I mean, 7,000 to 8,000 steps every day. There's no reason not to do it. And you could do all your talking on the phone, especially in the morning, the first thing when you wake up, expose your eyes to sunlight, take those steps. Really, like you said, it's a simple thing. It will change your life. It starts with the simple steps. Just take the steps.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to end with this, and then we'll talk about kind of how they can find you. I'll put in the Hasty meds and the IV drips on the show notes if you want to work with Bracha and her team. They're amazing. And if you want a quick fix, she's probably going to say no. But if you want to change your life holistically and permanent, and you're willing to change your habits, I think you guys would be a perfect match. The last question, I like to have one action after one conversation. I'm very action oriented. If a person is watching this right now, and I want to say a majority of them are female, I think the analytics was 70 to 80% female.
Okay.
I'm assuming because they're seeing this on their feed, they're really interested in weight loss in some sort of fashion. What's one action plan that they can do right now that's going to get them to step the direction towards optimized health?
Okay. I'm going to give a great action. It's very simple. It's two actions though, but together. I think that they should go online and buy off of Amazon those weighted bands, okay, that you can put in your ankles or wrist. And I'll explain why that's important. And they should do 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Simple, 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. Find a buddy, make those steps. and do it with that person every day, probably maybe an hour, a little bit more of walking. And it's very doable. An hour of walking should be doable. Talk to your friend while you're doing it. The reason why I say that's so important is because anyone above 45 is entering their years of perimenopause. Our estrogen starts dropping and we start losing bone mass and bone protection. And weights is one of the most powerful things that you could do to help make your bones strong. So you will help. And also you gain 8 to 10 pounds for no apparent reason during those years. Super frustrating as females our hormones are predicting a big part of our life. And so get those weights. It's very simple. While you're walking, it will help increase your bone strength. And you'll also be able to lose weight. And you'll be exposed to sunlight, which will help boost your mood. So it's like a 3-in-1 benefit. So that's my tip. And I think that they'll see a significant change in their lifestyle and their health, 8 to 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah. So guys, what you can do is just put on a podcast version of this, put your weighted thing on, and for 1 hour, because this is almost a whole hour long.
Yeah.
And you can learn and lose weight at the same time.
Yeah.
So I loved how you shared that. Can you share the link for the wrist thing you're talking about so I can put it on the show notes as well?
Sure.
But Bracha, how do they find your company, and are you on socials? Like where can they find you?
Sure. So we're www.ibdrips.com and www.hastymeds.com, and then our Instagram is ibdrips_. Logo in the back, and you can find us there, and just DM us any questions, and happy to help people optimize their health. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So guys, if you like this episode, make sure to share, make sure to subscribe. You know what? Do me a favor. If you have questions for Bracha, put it on the comments below on possibly some of the questions I didn't ask. I probably missed some of them, but I'll have her answer the question there. Or if it's deep enough, we can potentially get another topic going on about weight loss, about any particular drug. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.